something momentous is brewing in Cleveland. It's not idle chatter, not idle speculation, and definitely not the usual Oda buzz. This feels different, tangible, something every Browns fan has been yearning to sense. Hope rooted in performance, not empty promises. What unfolded in recent days of Browns Ota could be the dawn of something monumental, far exceeding our expectations. But before we dive in, be sure to smash that like button to stay plugged in. Let's begin with the focal point of everyone's attention, Shedeur Sanders. Yes, that's Shedeur Sanders. Some called him talented, others cited his pedigree, but here in Berea, he's proving he's got the I-8 factor. According to reports from Sports Illustrated, it's not just that he's adapting, he's transforming. His mechanics are crisper, his spiral tighter, his decision-making sharper. Just a month into Ote, his name is ascending, not as a formality, but as a force. Kevin Stefanski reportedly gave all quarterbacks an even split of reps, but keen observers noted the distinction. Sanders wasn't merely another arm in the rotation. He stood out. When the dust settled on the practice stat sheets, one name consistently rose to the top: Shedeur Sanders. And let's be crystal clear, this isn't a fan's fantasy. It's real. It's unfolding in real time, Browns fans. We could be witnessing the rise of the next phase of our franchise. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean he's starting week one. If we're being honest, and we always are, Joe Flacco still appears to be the early front runner, but that doesn't diminish what Sanders is bringing to the table. Among all the quarterbacks in the room, he possesses the highest ceiling. That's not hype, that's pure tape and talent. Considering where this franchise has been, the carousel, the question marks, the chaos, there's something profoundly satisfying about seeing a young QB step up, even if it's just May. Yet not everything in Berea was sunshine and spirals. While some players elevated, others vanished. Let's talk about Deontay Johnson, a no-show at OTA. Sure, these are voluntary, but Johnson's absence hits differently. This isn't an up-and-coming rookie or a battle-tested veteran skipping drills. This is a wide receiver on his final chance. Let's be real. He's worn out his welcome in locker rooms from Pittsburgh to Houston. He's got talent, no doubt. But when was the last time his name graced a positive headline? This was his opportunity to show commitment, to blend into a team culture that's rebuilding its identity. And instead, he ghosted. The concern here isn't just about a single practice. It's about perception. A guy on thin ice can't afford to be absent while others are grinding. He's reportedly been seen around the facility, but come mandatory camp, all eyes will be on him. His margin for error? Gone. On the flip side, the Browns' defensive line has been nothing short of dominant, disruptive, even fearsome. Mason Graham, remember that name, from rookie minicamp to Oda, has been explosive, and not just by rookie standards. He's looking like someone who's already staking a claim on this defense. And let's not forget Joe Tryon, who brought so much heat. He accidentally collided with a quarterback during drills. Was it a bit too much for Ote? Perhaps, but was it a sign of the ferocity this unit is bringing? Absolutely. This defense is building something you can feel in the trenches if this group stays healthy. And that's always the big, if we could be looking at a top 5 unit in the league. No exaggeration. It's in the personnel, it's in the energy, it's in the intent. They're not just showing up, they're showing out. And now let's shift to the backfield, because it's not just crowded, it's evolving. Jerome Ford entered Ote as the presumed RB1, but listen closely and you'll hear the shift. Quinn Jenkins and Dylan Sampson have arrived. And they didn't show up just to watch. Jenkins looks like a feature back already. The burst, the vision, the confidence, it's all there. And Sampson, he might be the most dynamic, multi-talented back we've seen in camp this year. What does that mean for Ford? It could signal the start of a transition or the opening chapter in a potential trade discussion. The Browns are clearly embracing youth and explosiveness at running back, and right now Jenkins looks like the one holding the keys to the kingdom. Not by default, but by dominance. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Jerry Jeudy entered the scene. Finally healthy, finally comfortable, finally looking like the Roan we envisioned when he arrived. What makes it even more thrilling is his chemistry with Flacco, who still throws the deep ball like he's got a 28-year-old cannon. They've been lighting it up in Otaz, and if Flacco ends up as QB1, we could see a downfield connection that brings explosive fireworks this fall. Now, here's where I want you to weigh in. If out of all these storylines, Shedeur's rise, Johnson's absence, the dominance of the defensive line, the battle in the backfield, and Judy's resurgence, which one captivates you the most? Drop a comment below. And while we're on the subject of chemistry and breakout performances, let's circle back to Shedeur Sanders one more time. The whispers inside the facility are growing louder. This isn't just about mechanics anymore. It's about leadership, about how the guys are responding to him. Multiple reports suggest that even though he's the youngest QB in the room, he's carrying himself like a veteran, calm, poised, and most importantly, coachable. Let's also take a moment to talk about Kevin Stefanski. The head coach has taken his fair share of criticism over the years, but if you're paying attention to what he's building now, it's clear he's not just trying to survive. He's looking to evolve. The way he's rotating quarterback reps evenly, that's not indecision. That's a challenge, pushing all of them to step up. And Shedeur seems to be answering that call. But the truth is, even with all this Otay hype, the Browns are walking a razor's edge. One injury, one locker room meltdown, one setback. That's all it takes to flip momentum into mayhem. That's why stories like Deontay Johnson's absence feel so much heavier than just a missed practice. It's not just about drills, it's about the message. If you're not locked in, you're out. This team doesn't have room for passengers. Meanwhile, other players are quietly stacking solid days. Dillon Gabriel, the other rookie QB, might not be lighting it up like Sanders, but he's not fading away either. If we've learned anything about quarterback rooms in the NFL, it's that depth matters. One injury can change everything. And for the Browns, having two young QBs hungry to climb the depth chart could be their most underrated asset this year. And let's not overlook that attendance list.
Yes.
It was voluntary, but the names missing: Myles Garrett, Greg Newsome, David Njoku, these are leaders, veterans. And while no one's pressing the panic button, Stefanski certainly isn't. Their absence leaves a void. The next phase, mandatory camp, is where accountability meets opportunity. Because here's the bottom line. This team is changing not on paper, but on the field. And if you're not paying close attention, you might miss the birth of something that could define the Browns for the next 5 years. So now it's your turn. We've broken down the O'Day standouts, the concerns, and the quiet battles brewing in Berea. What do you think is the biggest storyline heading into mandatory camp? Is it Shedeur's meteoric rise, the shakeup at running back, the Flacco-Judy connection, or maybe something else entirely? Leave a comment below and share your boldest prediction for the Browns. And if you haven't already, like this video and hit that subscribe button. Go Browns. Browns fans, brace yourselves, because what we're about to witness might be the most volatile and daring storyline in the entire NFL. Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Joe Flacco, and Kenny Pickett. 4 quarterbacks, 1 starting job, and absolutely 0 clarity. Yet from recent Browns OTAs, one thing is becoming increasingly evident. Dillon Gabriel's name isn't just an afterthought. It's rising, and he's leaving a real impression. That's right, despite the whispers, the jokes, and the skepticism about his height, Gabriel has showcased flashes of brilliance that demand your attention. Let's dissect everything we've seen and heard straight from Browns camp and what it could mean for week 1 and beyond. I'll give you the inside scoop, but first, smash that like button. If you've been a diehard Browns fan for 16 years, it's great to see fans of all ages. Much respect. Now, let me ask you something. On a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate Kevin Stefanski as the Browns head coach? Drop your answer in the comments. All right, let's tackle the elephant in the room. Height. Dillon Gabriel checks in at barely 6'4". And during OTAs, that wasn't just noticeable, it was glaring. Gabriel reports detail one moment that crystallized the concern. Gabriel, for all his effort, tried to loft the ball over the line during a drill, but the throw was batted down by defensive tackle Mason Graham. The play didn't just end with a swatted pass. It ended with coaches, players, and even reporters remarking on how small Gabriel looked behind the offensive line. One reporter, caught on a hot mic, even quipped, "I'm taller than him." That's not the kind of scrutiny you want when you're fighting to establish yourself as an NFL starter. But here's the twist. Gabriel knows this. The Browns knew this when they drafted him, and yet they brought him in anyway. Why? Because while height might be a limitation, accuracy is where Dillon Gabriel truly excels, and Browns fans, let me tell you, this kid can throw. Multiple other reports highlight Gabriel's uncanny ability to put the ball exactly where it needs to be. Whether it's a back shoulder fade or a perfectly led slant across the middle, his touch and precision are next level. In today's NFL, where completion percentages are soaring and the margin for error is razor thin, accuracy is everything. If Gabriel has that elite ball placement, he's already ahead of the curve. Gone are the days when a quarterback could complete 57 of his passes and still keep a job. Now, you need to live in the mid to high 60s just to stay relevant. That's why coaches are watching Gabriel so intently. Because if Kevin Stefanski can tailor the playbook to suit Gabriel's strengths, much like Sean Payton did with Drew Brees, another undersized but hyper-accurate quarterback, there's a very real chance this offense could click. Remember how Payton simplified things for Bo Nix last year? Gabriel might need the same approach, streamlined plays, scripted drives, clear reads, let him settle in before turning him loose. If that happens, we might see a quarterback who quietly and efficiently guides this team, not as a highlight reel sensation, but as a cerebral, mistake-free field general. That said, Gabriel isn't without competition. Shedeur Sanders is making noise, and it's not just hype. By all accounts, he's played extremely well during OTS, showing poise, confidence, and a commanding grasp of the offense. Sanders is bigger, flashier, and some argue has more upside. He also reportedly had the best overall performance of any quarterback not named Joe Flacco during camp. Yes, better than Gabriel, better than Pickett. And that's no small feat. ESPN recently ranked the Browns quarterbacks during OTA, and here's the org. Joe Flacco at number 1, Shedeur Sanders at 2, Dillon Gabriel at 3, and Kenny Pickett bringing up the rear. That's right, Pickett, the former Steelers starter, isn't even in the conversation. Word around camp is that he might not even sniff the starting job this season. And that brings us to the man currently holding the crown, Joe Flacco. A seasoned veteran, a steady hand, a quarterback who already knows Stefanski's system inside and out. He's also refreshingly honest about his role. In his own words, he's not here to be a mentor, he's here to compete. At 39, he knows he's nearing the end, but he's not done yet. Flacco is still slinging the rock like a pro, and the coaching staff trusts him. That's why most observers, including this journalist, believe Flacco is your week 1 starter. But then what? Week 6, week 7, week 8? That's when things get spicy. If the Browns stumble out of the gate, or Flacco starts showing his age, the leash will be short, and then it's anyone's game. Does Stefanski stick with his handpicked guy, Gabriel? Or does the front office, which may have wielded more influence on the Sanders pick, step in and force their quarterback in the lineup? This is where internal politics become a huge factor. As noted earlier, speculation is mounting that Gabriel was Stefanski's pick-safe, smart, system-ready. Sanders, on the other hand, may have been more of an Andrew Berry or even Jimmy Haslam selection, high upside, marketable, and potentially face of the franchise. That divide could sow tension if things start to unravel. And in Cleveland, as we all know too well, when things go sideways, they really go sideways. So let's break this all down before we wrap up today's exclusive deep dive. Dillon Gabriel, short, precise, and playing catch-up behind a more physically gifted rookie and a wise veteran. A Shedeur Sanders, a flashy, dynamic, and potentially groomed behind the scenes for a mid-season takeover. Joe Flacco, the current starter, but one bad stretch away from handing over the reins. Kenny Pickett, he might as well already be looking for his next team. This battle is far from over. In fact, it's just beginning. And whether it's Flacco, Gabriel, or Sanders leading the charge come week 6, one thing is certain. This quarterback room is the most unpredictable in the entire league. Browns fans, we want your voice in this conversation. Who do you want starting in week 1? Drop your answer below. Now we shift from speculation to implications, because what happens next in this Browns quarterback saga won't just shape the 2025 season, it will ripple through the entire franchise. Let's talk about what's truly at stake here. If Kevin Stefanski rolls the dice on Dillon Gabriel and it backfires, it won't just be a failed experiment. It could be his job. This isn't 2020 anymore. There's no grace period, no wait-and-see buffer. He's already coached this team to the playoffs, sure. But now he's facing the most politically charged, high-stakes quarterback situation of his tenure. If he bets on Gabriel and Sanders as the one lighting it up in practice, the front office and ownership might not just be frustrated, they might be ready to pull the plug. On the flip side, if Sanders starts and struggles, that's a direct hit to Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam, who are widely believed to have championed Shedeur in the draft room. They're betting big on potential, big on upside. And as we've seen time and again in Cleveland, the moment politics start deciding who starts under center, chaos follows close behind. Thank you guys. See you next video.